while I'm doing videos on this Jeep, I figured I'd share a little tip with you about bringing back the color of your fender flares, if they're grayed or faded or whatever you want to call it. And what I do is I just put a little heat to them. I'm going to use oxygen acetylene torches, but you could use a heat gun or a little propane torch. And what I got to work with here is this side little fender flare that goes on the body, and you can tell it's not too bad, but it's a little faded. And I'm going to set these torches up here and put some heat to it. I want you to notice these splotches here where they're really whiter. Those don't seem to get hidden as well as you might think they would. I got my torch going. I got a nice kind of hot flame going here. And the way you want to do this is you don't want to do too much heat at once, but you just kind of want to, almost like you're painting it on. You don't want to do too much, but you can see it. I don't want to keep the torch moving fast. You want to heat up, kind of get that little glossy sheen on as wide a surface area as you can without, destroying the texture too much. Now this is still pretty warm. You don't really want to touch the surface because you'll put a smudge in it. Now you can tell, maybe, my camera focus, you still got some of that texture on there. It doesn't melt it completely, but it isn't as textured as it was. And of course, if you've got some worn flares, it's gonna, have lesser on it than usual. Here's compared to the rest of the flares that came off the same vehicle, and that's quite a bit better. I mean, it's not perfect. You still got some splotches here, but they're not brand new. But that looks pretty good. Also, to show you that you can do this without taking your flares off, I used this little propane torch, and I used a license plate, just a tag here, to block the heat from hitting my paint. And I just did it a little at a time, moved the tag, and cleaned it up pretty good on this side. Now if you kind of look close, you can tell, like right here, I hit that, to kind of clean it up a little bit, because there's a little kind of divot that it stayed gray on me in here, and that's just because I couldn't get a good even melt across it, so you get these splotchier areas. But I think that looks a whole heck of a lot better. It does on this side. Hope that helps. Another thing to show you is this top of the steering wheel cover, and you can tell you can bring it back from pretty much white to something that looks kind of good. I mean, I've kind of burnt it right here because it got so hot trying to get the milkiness out, but it does a pretty good job. I hit the rest of this panel, or a plastic piece, and you can kind of see where it was really heavily faded or oxidized, whatever you want to call it. You can tell it's kind of got a brownish muck to it. But I'm gonna see what happens when we take a piece of sandpaper to this. This is this is broken, and I don't even know if I got a bottom half to this. This is just off one of the junk TJs that I had. So we can experiment with this, see what we can do with it. I just pulled this out of my little parts sandblaster cabinet, and it's pretty dusty, kind of dirty. I'm going to rinse it off with a bucket of nasty rainwater here. And doesn't look like it took all the oxidization off, but we'll put some heat to that and we'll see what that looks like. I think that's looking pretty good compared to what it was. But I really put the heat to it, trying to get rid of those water bubbles, and I really melted it. I think I'm going to try to sandblast it again, and when I do it, put the heat to it again, I won't have it all wet. I'll definitely have to wipe it off. And also I think we can do a better job getting the rest of that oxidization out of there. Okay, I got my pressure blaster out to hit this, and as you can see, it is quite rough. Not necessarily a bad thing though. I think it'd probably be better to actually hit this and kind of just smooth it out a little bit, maybe with like a DA, maybe some 80 grit or something. I don't have one here with me, but we're gonna put some heat to it and see what happens. I don't want to melt away too much of that texture. Let's put it in. You can see those little tabs are bending from the heat, but this isn't ever going to be used again, so that doesn't matter. But you want to be mindful of that if you're trying to fix a piece that you're actually going to use again. Let's see what we got here. Still a little hot there, kind of melted still, but it's drying. You can kind of see it drying as we talk here. And yeah, that is one uniform, even color. The texture is a little rougher than it was originally. But the oxidization is out of there, and looking at it now, it looks pretty darn good. I think if we hit that with some 80 grit on a DA before melting it after sandblasting, that would look really good. I also sandblasted and heated this front fender flare, and it was all crumpled up on the vehicle, so it's, you know, garbage. And this is compared to the other side, which is in good shape, and it looks pretty darn good. Up. I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe I'll cut back to the first shot right here and show you the difference in this piece. Another thing to show you is this top of the steering wheel cover, and you can tell you can bring it back from pretty much white to something that looks kind of good.